The Get Down is brought to you by Digital Music Pool. Digital Music Pool is the ultimate record pool for professional DJs looking for the hottest tracks and exclusive hits updated daily in an easy-to-use platform. You can find exclusive edits from myself, Cream, Adam B., Andrew Marks, Angelo the Kid, Armin Averu, Chumpian, Dan FX, Castra, Pat C, and Samus J only on DMP. And we're giving you a chance to try their service for just $9.99 for the first month. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down or Cream Instagram pages, create an account, and enter the promo code CREAM at checkout for your discounted month. DMP is my go-to record pool for new and exclusive music to play in my sets. So become a member for just $9.99 for the first month with the code CREAM and check it out for yourself. Click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down or Cream Instagram pages to sign up now. You will not be disappointed. If you love listening to The Get Down, you will love the video version of our show on YouTube even more. With all new audio and video upgrades, we've taken the show to the next level. On YouTube, you get to see our facial expressions, hand gestures, and real passion we have for this industry and for helping you grow your DJ business. Click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down Instagram page to watch the podcast now or search Get Down DJs on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate if you subscribe to our channel, like, and comment any questions you might have that we could bring up on the show. What's up, guys? Welcome to the 142nd episode of The Get Down, brought to you by Digital Music Pool. My name's Cream.
Gary W. here.
Plans change, Gar. Plans change.
Plans definitely change.
We're shooting an intro here at the front end of our next episode. We had planned this episode to just tack on to last episode, the 141st, but we just kind of got into it, and this episode went an hour long, and went way longer than we had expected. So we decided to just make it a full episode. This is sort of our year-end wrap, right?
Yep. Yeah. This is kind of everything that a sum of what we played, what we were into, what we think is going to happen for next year, and we're going to get into all of that good stuff as our year-end wrap.
All right, so let's get into this episode of the Get Down.
All right.
All right, what's up, guys? We're back from our brief pause here, and we're going to get into, Garrett and I are calling this our favorite list, right? This isn't like our Get Down podcast awards. This is our favorites of the year, we're going to call it.
Yeah. You know why? Because a lot of the things that I picked are probably, or they're popular, but they might not be the most mainstream, quote unquote. So, I don't think that you and I are maybe close enough to like the going out and seeing a lot of DJs and seeing a lot of shows where like I feel like other people can speak more freely to that,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of approached it maybe a little bit differently, sort of like some of the artists that I like and sets that I saw from a distance, and I felt like the super FOMO of what, like, I wish I was there kind of thing.
Okay, I like it.
That's kind of how I approached it. So yeah, we're not going out as much as we'd like to or we once were. Right. Or going to festivals and stuff. But I think social media does a good job of filling you in on what's going on.
It does. It does. I read a lot of good articles actually over the last 24 hours about, different shows that we might have missed over the year. So yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. So let's just go down the list. I'll start with you. What's your song of the year?
All right. This is going to be a weird one.
How many times am I going to say, I don't even know who that is or what that song is on your list?
Not a lot, I don't think. The Rapture Part 3, the End Me Black Coffee track that came out. They started playing it, I guess, around like June or July. I think maybe that's when it came out, but it's really hit social media pretty hard recently. And it's not something that I can really play out maybe at the end of the night, but I think it evokes a lot of emotion. It is one of those like piano tracks that I really like that are a little more down tempo. And it's just like a really high quality made song which you expect out of Black Coffee every time.
Yeah, I don't know if I know that song. I'm not as into Black Coffee as you are, for sure. I appreciate him, but I just don't know his music as well.
Well, Enmy and Kind Music, who, you know, has kind of came onto the scene in the last couple of years here. Like Enmy, I've been listening to forever. But that's the genre of house that if I could play, I'd play like that and like the Tale of Us version.
I saw some video from the Kind Music show at the Mirage. It looked pretty dope. I know Tone said it was there and kind of filling us in on how great a show it was.
Is that Enmy and Rampa and like Adam Port? Is that what Kind Music?
There's 3 of them, right?
Right. I believe that is the 3 of them. So like, you know, and it can maybe be a variation of whichever.
Can you imagine being in a DJ group with 3 people?
Dude, I can't even play with one other person.
I know. Dude, like back-to-backs are hard enough. How the hell are you in a group with 2 other people? I just will never understand it. But
well, you know, I think in the house music world, and you're producing and you're researching all the time, you're getting music from all different types of people because, you know, you're a major player in the industry. You know, you can pick through music a little better.
How do you make decisions on music though? Like just on like choosing a kick alone. There's 3 people. How do you make a decision?
Yeah. It's just all, I think it's style, right? Everybody brings their own style to it. And that's what I like about whenever Black Coffee or any of these guys do any kind of collaboration, you can hear kind of who's doing what, or you think you can hear whose ideas were what. Yeah. That's what I like to pick apart when I'm listening to like a group.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of threesomes, right? Like Swedish House, obviously. And then this year we saw the Skrillex Fortet and Fred again that played a ton of shows. And you could probably argue that one of their shows is in the argument for best set of the year or best show of the year. For sure.
Yeah, which we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, but we got off topic here, but
what was your
the first
what was
one?
your,
We're immediately off topic.
What was your song of the year?
So, you know, I'm going to go with Dom Dolla, Rhyme Dust. And the reason why I chose that one was because it was one of those songs that got teased so much on socials. And like many times those songs get teased forever. And then they come out and they kind of like don't hit as hard. But for me, like I still play Rhyme Dust. I still get excited to hear it. I just think it's a dope song. It fits into my sets and I just really like it. So
love it. All right. Producer of the year. I'm gonna let you hit this one off.
I wrote down like more than one for each of these because like I was kind of brainstorming and coming up with I'm gonna choose somebody that I don't think you would think I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Pickle.
Wow, that's a great one.
And I choose Pickle because he put out so much music that was playable. The song selection, the songs that he chose to remix, I thought were incredible. The production, it's not super in-depth production, but it's clean, it's produced well, it sounds good. And like I said, he picks songs. You could tell he's a DJ, the songs that he picks. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like all the songs that were chosen were smart choices. And I just tend to edit his songs a lot and I play his originals a lot. And that's why I chose Pickle.
Wow, that's a good one. I never like Pickle wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, it's a little off the wall, but you know, I went with it.
All right.
We're doing favorites, right? Like this is not best of the year, it's favorite. It's my favorite. I played a lot of his stuff.
Gosh, you know what? Like I didn't really play a lot of one artist this year, and that was and I don't leisurely listen to house music as much. I kind of felt that I liked Tale of Us was great. I liked the stuff that they put out. I felt like they were kind of a force in the industry this year, particularly. Sure, they've been out for a long time, but I feel like there was a step in a different direction to a broader audience with them.
Do you hear like construction happening in my house right now?
I a little bit in the background,
I don't know what's going on, bro. I'm recording a podcast.
So yeah, that's I kind of like Tale of Us for that because I feel like their whole label did well, you know. and it's not easy to do that as a group, and then also have your entire label really take a step forward in the industry. And they did.
Yeah, I mean, I think they also brought some visual stuff that was super unique this year and stood out. And, you know, for someone, I didn't necessarily know Tale of Us too well, their music at least, until I started seeing clips on social. And I was like, who are these guys? And had to dig a little deeper. So super dope visuals got me to dig deeper into them as you know, producers and artists.
That would be my quote unquote like party of the year, like a broad party that like traveled or is a monthly or something like that. Like I know we don't have that on this list. But that would be mine. It's driving you nuts, isn't it? The construction.
Kind of driving me nuts, but I just don't want it to come across in the podcast. They're like literally banging on the wall right behind my back. All right, let's continue on. Then we'll go to DJ of the year.
I liked Fred again and everything that he did. Because I feel like he just wasn't one dimensional. He was kind of all over the place. His style always changes. He could have even been in, you know, he was in there for producer of the year for me as well.
Yeah.
But because of the couple songs that he came out with, the singles that he came out with were so different from one another. And then like just all of the different things that he did for the year, and he was versatile and he was just popping up at pubs. I think that was this year, right? And doing all these different things. It was fantastic.
Like sometimes it's hard to think back. Like, was that the end of 2022? Was that the beginning of 2023? But yeah, I think, I mean, you can't argue with Fred again as, you know, DJ of the year. Some of the others he was on my short list, but some of the others on my short list included Dom Dalla, included my pick, who I'm going to go with, John Summit. I just think he had so many like iconic moments this year in 2023. Yeah. And I think he had so many like marathon sets and just a staple at Space Miami. And, you know, and I just think that for me, he kind of made the most noise as a DJ. I'd also put Skrillex on the list as a short potential winner for me.
Yeah. Producer of the year, Skrillex was definitely involved, right? Putting out those 2 albums. It was just early. It's so hard because you're right. Because earlier in the year, it's you forget that was like when it's February and it's March, you forget that was you have such recency bias, especially with the pace of music, right? John Summit, you're correct in the fact that like I feel like he went a very old school route where he was playing those marathon sets, like you said. He was a staple at a Beast as a young DJ, and I like how he like documented his like just jumping around like from party to party in one day. And it's like, this dude's working. He's out there working hard.
Yeah.
And it's just good to see.
Yeah. I mean, like at every big show, every big event, Miami Music, like you name it, he was there and playing a major role. So,
yeah. All right. DJ set of the year. I have a weird one.
All right. What do you got?
Chase and Stratus, Boiler Room. I am not a fan of that music per se, some stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed the energy that they brought to that Boiler Room, and everybody was just really like involved. Like I get it. You go to a Boiler Room and you're there to be involved, but like there were some great moments in that Boiler Room set.
I love it. I mean, I love it. It wasn't on my list, but I think it's an amazing choice. I also agree, you know, that Boiler Room sort of opened me up to that style of music. And I've been sort of not playing it a ton in my sets because it's harder to work that in here in the US. But, you know, you could play Baradan and it works, you know, like I've been sneaking that into my sets for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah, I love that choice. I'm going to give you some, I told you I have like a couple on each of these. So I'm going to give you some runner-ups, so to speak. I think the Chris Lake and Fisher in LA was epic. So excellent. Sick.
Yeah.
So many people, just a super unique, cool set. I think also Skrillex, Fred again, and Fortet when they saved. I believe it was it EDC they covered for or Coachella. It was Coachella.
And that actually went down on a couple lists as like a top 5 set of the year.
Like not a set they were supposed to play, and then went in there and like saved the headline set.
Yeah, amazing.
But actually, and then one other. The ISOXO and Knock 2 at Shrine, which was really recently, they had like the 360 set, but not only did they have that, but the actual stage and DJ booth like raised up into the air. And obviously, like that style of music is near and dear to my heart. So I thought that was so epic and so dope.
Yeah.
But my pick of the year is Subjonics at EDC. And
wow.
I picked that because never in a million years would I think that John Summit and Subtronics would come together to form a duo and headline shows. And, you know, it takes me back to, like, we talked about Tally Ho earlier and, like, my Thursday party and being able to play all these different genres and, like, being able to play dubstep and trap and then weave that into tech house and techno and progressive house is just so cool to me. And, like, if I could pick one of these, I would want to be there because I just think that would be such a unique and cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great one. I like it.
Yeah, like, let's go. You know I love that dubstep.
Oh, man.
All right. Personal favorite set of the year? Is that like sort of the same thing as what we just did?
Yeah.
I guess my personal favorite would be the ISOXO and Knock 2, and Subjonics would be DJ set of the year if I was breaking them up.
Right. So my personal one, and you're going to hear this come out of my mouth a lot, but it was the Tiny Desk, Fred again, Tiny Desk. It was just so impressive.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was a throwback to, not a throwback to, but it brings a light to live artists, right? And there aren't a lot of live artists out there right now doing sets. Like Junkie XL used to be one. I talked about that I saw him at Ultra back in like 2003. And that was like the first time I got to see a live set. And I was like, I don't even understand how you do this. And then as my DJ career grew, I went and I used to DJ next to a live artist. And we ran like 4 or 5 shows, and it was so challenging and so innovative. And you have to really be on your toes at all times. I really appreciated that set a lot. And I was happy to know that a lot more people are being subjected to that type of music making.
Yeah, I love that. And I love everything that Tiny Desk has been doing with all their shows, just like from artist selection to just like the setup. It's just been really awesome. And I think you and I talked about the Juvenile one, and that sort of put me down the road of digging into more of the Tiny Desk sets, and like the Action Bronson one. Obviously the Fred Again one was sick. So I think it's not one of our items, but if I had to choose like a mix series or live production series, I think that would have to be the winner for me.
You want to talk about producer of the year, quote unquote? We're not, maybe not music production, but the show production. Bobby Carter does an amazing job, and since he's taken over, they've really transformed what Tiny Desk does. And he's a great follow on Instagram too, because he promotes it. He lets you know what's going on, and really well versed in all types of music.
All right, I'm gonna skip one of these. We'll come back to it. Breakout artist of 2023.
Peggy Gou.
Which is crazy because how long has she been around?
I know, but like serious breakout, like 2 big records, probably arguably one of the bigger records of the year.
Can be argued song of the year or record of the year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Summer anthem, and I feel like that track also brought, not that it brought back, but it brought that 90s house sound more to the forefront. Like, yeah, sure, Beyonce's Renaissance started to bring it back, and then Peggy Gou's that track that, that sound really kind of punctuated it.
Yeah. I love that song because it was so versatile as far as being a DJ and how and where you played it. you could play it as a transition from the early part of the night into peak. You could play it in the middle of peak and go down like a little housey or tech housey set. You can play it at the end of the night as a feel good, end of the night banger type thing. And I love that in that record. It was just a great song. And like I said, I just love the versatility in where you can fit it into your sets.
Yeah, 1,000%.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Knock 2. I just think everything he did this year was just like heat banger. Edited a ton of his songs. Played his songs are probably the most prominent artist in my sets, especially when I'm going to play artist sets.
Yeah,
and he's been making music for a few years, but I just think this year he broke out and really made a name for himself in the mainstream and in the dance world.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think my runner-up would have to be Mal P. I mean, he crushed it. And, Ferrari and I talked about him on one of these episodes. He's been grinding for a long time. He produced music under Maurice West. He did a lot of ghost producing. And, even he rebranded and kind of retooled his sound. And now he's, my runner-up for breakout artist and crushing it.
Lived in my DJ sets this year.
Yeah.
Mal P.
Cool. All right, let's move on to artists to watch.
It's a tough one for me.
It was a tough one for me too, and then like the light bulb clicked, and I have.
So go ahead.
So my artist to watch is San Pacho.
Okay.
Bass house, tech house. I think kind of unique in his sound. He fits in that tech house, bass house world, but no one really sounds like him, I don't think,
Yeah, that's true.
And I have used some of his records as like scaffolding records for my production. I always try to find ways to take his tracks to edit and definitely try and sneak his music into my sets. Originals, remixes, edits. He killed it for me this year.
Nice. I don't know. Because I feel like a lot of the things that I play are so commercial. You know what I mean? So I'm playing a lot of music that, guys have been around for a long time. I don't really have one for this. Like I said, I've been getting into kind of music. I don't know if that's going to blow up, but like that's what I've been getting into.
I think that's a pretty good one. I mean, those guys have been around, but they sort of became more popular and more mainstream this year. And I think that's kind of what I think of when I think of a breakout artist.
Like I would like to see like NME get big, because I've been such a fan for a long time. And like, do I play a lot of his music? I try to, maybe like earlier in my set, first, 30 minutes. But like, it's nothing I'm getting away with, playing multiple because it's just so down tempo.
Yeah.
But I just think maybe that kind of music, I think those guys, like hopefully like they come to the forefront in the next year and become the next like Tale of Us, like we were speaking of.
Yeah. I know we're talking more like dance music in these choices, but I have to throw a little hip hop, and I think Ice Spice can also be in that breakout artist where she came from like nothing to just crushing. I remember when she first came out, we were talking about, well, like, is this just a New York thing? Like, is this going to translate to peak hour all over the place? And just in my travels, Ice Spice kind of hits no matter where I am, type thing.
Yeah, she does. I'd like to hear her do some like different sounds this year.
Like
that
not
would
just
be
the drill 70 BPM hip hop thing.
Right. But I love it because I could play all of her records, like, and they all go off, and they're all
Boys
party
Liars
records.
More up tempo. You can fit that into like
that was a little different.
Yeah.
That was good. All right, editor of the year. I have a selfish one.
I mean, this is hard for me, man, because there's a lot. I'm going to go with an oldie but a goodie and just a classic all-time editor, DeVille. Like, guy just doesn't miss, man.
Yeah.
And he's the only person to me that's putting out like hip-hop edits that are really good,
Yeah.
And his house stuff is always amazing. So DeVille just understands how to make music for DJs, playable music, and he picks a lot of the right songs. So DeVille's my guy with CRG as my runner-up. Met
DeVille for the first time this year. Super nice guy, knowledgeable, smart guy. So yeah, I like that pick. I'm going to be real basic here. I'm going to go Get Down DJ Group. basic. Angelo the Kid, I play all of his stuff, all of it. I'm sorry. Like, I know that sounds home teamy. It sounds, basic, and you could have did anything, and that's what you went with. But like, if I went with percentage of editors that I played, like, how much percentage of one editor did I play? He was probably like 10% of the music I played this year.
Yeah.
That's a ton. It's 1 in every 10 songs, and because his peak hour stuff for me in the rooms that I play personally work. No matter what, no matter where I am, gay club, bar, nightclub, it works. It's the most versatile peak hour music that there is.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone listening is probably nodding their heads like, yeah, I play a ton of Angelo the Kid. I do as well, for sure.
I felt bad picking him, but I went and looked at my sets. I'm like, how can I not? Like, that's it.
I look at Angelo as, especially this past year, as transitioning more to being an artist and producing more of his original stuff, and a lot more. Yeah. He put out a lot more remixes this year, and I know that's sort of the path that he's kind of traveling down. So that's the reason why I didn't choose Angelo. But Angelo's edits are always fire. They're a staple in my peak hour sets as well.
All right. Favorite record pool, not DMP.
Yeah, we love DMP. Obviously, we have such a close relationship with them, and we go to war for DMP. But as DJs, we all have multiple record pools, right? So I thought this would be a good conversation. Like, what record pool do you like the most? Have you used the most this year? So, what's yours?
I liked HMC the most this year. I like them because I can go to them for so many different genres. Not to say that I can't on other record pools, but I like their editors. I've been like a Nova fan for a long time. And then all of the guys that are there, I like them. I've been fans of them for a long time. So I know that I'm going to get some quality out of their editors. And when I have to go look for my Latin stuff, it's accessible there, and it's knowledgeable there. And I like how they went a little more house heavy this year, and that was good. And it wasn't so hip hop heavy, because it had been when it first started. And they've really found their footing in being a versatile record pool, especially for my style.
Yeah. Yeah, I love HMC. It's one of my go-to pools for sure. It's in like my rotation of 3 or 4 pools that I'm going to every single week to download music. So I love that pick. I'm going to go with Club Killers. And,
I'm glad you went with Club Killers, because I think they were my runner-up.
And, DeVille and CRG were my editors of the year, and I'm going to go with the pool that those guys are on, because I think besides DMP, I think Club Killers to me has the best exclusive artists with, DeVille, CRG, Revis, JD Live, and there's a handful of other guys, but those guys really stand out for me for sure. As far as the pool that I kind of went to, especially just for the exclusive artists,
where I went to them for a little bit of a different reason. When I would go to download off Club Killers, it was for, you're going to laugh, it was for country.
I knew you were going to say that.
Backlogged country music, and also like backlogged Latin. So whenever I had like one of my non-club sets, and it was the Latin nights and the country nights, they were really a great source of a lot of different like intros and edits for both of those things. Because when I have to mix salsa, it doesn't come natural. It's hard. It's hard for me.
Yeah.
So to have intros for a lot of the salsa music that I play was huge. And then the same thing for country, because mixing guitars is not always easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all these pools, right? Like, you go to each one for a different thing sometimes, and whatever your favorite one is, you pick one and you kind of go and check all of their music, and then the other ones you go for whatever you go to that pool for, kind of thing. And I think that's what's great about being subscribed to multiple pools, is you can kind of pick and choose what you like from each of them, and it creates this really cool, unique, music catalog that you can play from. So, yeah, I love that. I think I got to show some love to the DMP guys, because, I mean, not only have we added a number of exclusive editors this year, I mean, we have some of the best editors out. Like Dan FX has been crushing. Pat C has been crushing for 10 years or more.
Incredible
Champion, crushing. Love the music that he's been putting out. He's been pumping out. I think a lot of what's happening in Australia is like BPM and the Speed House is like really popping off there. So I love all the stuff that those guys have been putting on DMP, because I've been incorporating a lot of that into my sets more so lately.
Definitely.
And then Armin Avera, who was at it, I think this year as well, or maybe end of 2022, but he's like, these guys are so consistent and just pump music. Castro, like, it's just such a good.
Castro put out some heat.
Castro put out a lot of music, man.
He did. Like, I felt like every time that I went to download, he had like a ton of new stuff out, and it was quality. I liked it all. I downloaded a lot of it. It's
impressive to see the consistency and the dedication that a lot of these editors, especially on DMP, have, where every week they're putting music out. And I look back at how many edits I put out this year. I don't know what the exact number was, but I started out the year and I was pumping edits, and we got really busy towards the end of the year. And, I slowed down a bit, but I feel like that tends to happen with us because our business is so cyclical and our DJ sets are cyclical as far as how busy we get. So look for me to be kind of pumping a lot more edits, and also,
I was just going to say,
and also promoting them a lot more. I've been really looking for a unique way to put my edits on socials. I think Rick Wonder's been doing a great job with how he's been doing it. It's just tough, man, because it seems as though the algorithms on the social media sites kind of push some of the music stuff down. So I've been trying to figure out a unique way to highlight some stuff without getting dinged for music and copyright and stuff on those socials.
Yeah.
All right, we got off on another tear here.
That's good.
What's your genre of the year?
I think that 140 to 150, whether you want to call it, hard techno or whatever you want to group that kind of BPM in, that's what it would be. Like that, like 140 to 150 BPM, just sped up house, whether it's trancey, whether it's techie, whether it's like real techno, just that kind of. That's like kind of my sound of the year, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw a real transition from just tech house, like hammering tech house. I think that was like, for a couple years, tech house has sort of been the genre that everyone's been producing, and all the edits, and which has been interesting because like tech house hasn't always translated to our club sets, like certain tracks, yes, but not necessarily. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I would call it big room techno would be my emerging genre of the year. A lot of the edits are now coming out in that style where it's, like you said, 70 or 75 or 68 BPM, that harder techno style, or a speed house even. You can kind of group that in a little bit just because of the BPM. But I just think that's the single genre right now.
This is something that I might have hated on this podcast years ago, but I like that, or I've grown to appreciate that house music can change. Like the name of a genre can kind of bend into something different, right? And I think that maybe at some point we will have a name for this 140 to 150 BPM thing and really be able to put it under one umbrella, even though the sounds you might be taking from trance, and you might be taking from hard tech, and you might be taking from, whatever, real house, or disco house. And maybe we'll get a name for it, but that's what I love about house music. Like Beatport has had to reorganize their genres so many times.
Yeah.
And when you go into, you get used to like, all right, melodic house. And then you go in, I've gone in like a month later and I'm like, they've changed this completely. It's like a completely different sound. But that's the beautiful thing about house music, that you can take so many different elements from different quote unquote genres and kind of create new genres.
Yeah. I agree. And I think like we see some aspects of tech house production in there, some of those tech house tracks that were 126, guys are producing now at like 134. And it's like sort of a mashup between the two genres, which is really playable in your sets, And it's cool to see, but I agree. It's hard to like is it tech house? Is it techno? Is it, I don't know what it is, but it's just good.
Right. It's just good. Right.
It's just good.
I've found that even like anything that I'm playing, even if it's 128, like I'm speeding up to 134. Like we're going.
Yeah,
like
I've been speeding up a lot lately too, where I'll hear like 126 or 128. I'm like, why does it sound like there's no energy here?
Right. Right, because now we've been trained to, our ears have been trained to think that is no energy, right? Where it's funny how it changes and how it's cyclical like that. Because when trance was 70 BPM and or 140, all the 128 stuff sounded slow.
Yeah,
but you had completely two different crowds. Now I think that everybody has such an appreciation for house music that, you know, it has grown and people have matured into being able to consume more than just one genre of house music. And it's great to see that, you know, producers are taking that bull by the horns and fucking around with it.
Yeah. Something I wanted to bring up, like this year I started my Cream and Friends edit pack, where basically I choose 3 artists from a region is kind of how I've been doing it. And just editors and producers that I just think are really dope. And some of these people I've known and have a relationship with, sometimes it's a blind DM like, yo, I love your music. I'm doing this. Our last edit pack did this many listens and downloads, and we were number 1 on Hype Editor overall. Like, would you do this? And like they say yes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But when I did like the Euro guys, I had Vandal on the track, who's from France. I had Sam Collins, who is from, I don't know where Sam's from.
I forget
Germany?
where Sam's from.
And then I had Sergio. And like, I asked these guys to send me 3 edits each. We do 12 edits on the pack. And I knew that techno was going to hit here because every edit they sent me was like 140 BPM. And I was like, oh shit, it's like that over there right now. And this, you know, that was probably back in March of last year kind of thing. And I'm like, damn, maybe I need to start producing in this style and like digging into this, because it seems like it's going to be the next thing.
Yeah. It's here, and I like it.
Yeah, same. All right, what trended this year? What will trend? I think we kind of just talked about that,
I think we
right?
just talked about that. Yeah, I think that was the big trend.
I'm going to
You know what, though?
What
also trended, like we said, that like that darker house sound is also trending a little bit. That Anya, however you say it, and the Talibus and everything that they're doing is trending also. Like I'm hearing that creep into some of our DJ sets, which is kind of funny to hear because that's not something that our crowds are listening to, but I know our DJs are into it and they're listening to it if they're creeping like 1 or 2 tracks into their set.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure the Get Down DJs who were all at Green Rock late night probably didn't break 140 BPM. It was probably real dark in there.
I hope so.
All right. Do you want to talk about equipment trends? Is that something you want to get into?
I don't know. Like, I think we all know that stems were the highlight of the year, right?
Sure.
It's what everybody talked about. It's what the equipment producers are incorporating into all of their new hardware. We saw it creep into our software, and hopefully we can, you know, have a little bit more of an ease of function in using it, because I think that I have an issue executing the ideas that I have because I don't have enough hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm sometimes like, God, if I had like 3 hands, this would be phenomenal. But like you know, so I think our minds can move faster than the hardware and software right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on a previous episode. I would not be shocked to see 3000s that have just stem buttons, and that'll be like the next installment of the 3000 Nexus 2 or whatever they want to call it kind of thing.
I have ideas and like, you know, having simultaneous, like if you have the 3 buttons, like being able to like simultaneously hit 2 and I don't know, just like having it be a little more easy to execute.
Yeah.
Because I felt it to be a little difficult at times, like I said, where my mind was moving faster than my hands could.
I agree with you with the stems, so I'm not going to dig into that. But I think something that we might see here moving forward, and it might not be 2024, but I would say like by the end of 2025, I would not be shocked if the days of like downloading music start slowing down and like streaming directly from whether it's Beatport, whether it's BeatSource, whether it's the record pools directly in my Serato. I just think that we're moving in that direction.
I can hear Cheesy screaming right now.
Well, he's been doing that for how long? I mean, he's been streaming music forever.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. I can hear him yelling, being like, finally, you're talking about it.
No, and I just think that, you know, if you look at Spotify and how they kind of set up their playlists, right? Like, you go in and you create a playlist, and then you could download the playlist so that if you don't have internet, you could still listen to the songs on that playlist. And I just think DJing is going to be the same thing where you won't need internet necessarily. I think that's like the big objection from DJs. Like, well, what if the internet sucks and I can't get music? Well, you are going to download the playlist of the all the songs that you normally play, and it's just going to be there, and you're not going to have to worry about it. I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be hard for DJs to adopt, but I think once they do and the industry adopts it, it's going to be a huge improvement.
What would have to happen is, a company like Serato would just have to adopt it to make it look like your crates, right? So your playlists just look like your crates, and it's a drop down, and it's easy. I would be a huge fan of this because I get caught a lot where I think that I put music into my crates, and no, I'm just listening to it on my Spotify at home. And, I'll be digging for a song, and I'm like, I've listened to this song a million times. How do I not have it on here? And then realize, oh, well, it's on my Spotify. So I would be a huge proponent of incorporating this into my Serato, but I'm a Spotify user. I don't know. Do I have access to doing that right now? It's just, Beatport, BeatSource, and SoundCloud, and Tidal, and iTunes. So like that's kind of where the Serato playlists are living at the moment. Spotify would be a fantastic integration.
Yeah, Spotify would be awesome. Or Beatport. One or the other would be amazing.
Beatport's on there. Beatport's on here.
Oh, you can stream from Beatport now?
Yeah.
See, like, I'm so disconnected. I don't even know that.
Yeah. BeatSource, SoundCloud, Beatport. Yeah. So you got options.
All right. Do you want to do your most played record of the year?
You go ahead. I'm going to look. I don't even know what my most played record
was. It was hard for me to pick one, but just thinking back to my sets, because, I do love that Serato has the play count, but many times that play count's not true, where you could download a song and it has 5,000 plays for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Right.
What I did notice in trying to find my most played song is that I just play so many edits. Like, it's ridiculous. And I think in 2024, I want to dedicate, I'm gonna try and play more original music if I can. And just try and I don't know. My brain has just been in this playing edits that sometimes the original song is just really good, And I just want to play the original. So I look back, I think my number one would be Bloody Mary, Gaga, the Angela the Kid Satisfaction edit. It just kind of worked in so many rooms, and that Satisfaction melody is so iconic.
It's so good.
And then the drop has that thumping, driving, sort of a techno sound, even though the track was produced, I think, at 130 BPM. So that was my number one, playable in any room, energy immediately in any room. And the Bloody Mary vocal was really popular for a while here.
Honestly, my most played tracks are all of the women hip hop tracks. I played those in every single set because they worked in every single room. And I can't say it was just Gangsta Boo. I can't say it was just Boys a Liar because it was all of them.
Yeah.
And it's just, I felt like whenever I was hitting peak hour and wanted to drop into hip hop, that's where I was dropping into. And I've been saying it for years, and I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what was working, and it worked all year from January to December. I don't know. I think that was pretty much those were my go-to tracks for the whole year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, there's not as many hits that are coming out in hip hop, so you end up playing a lot of the same songs over and over again. This is something else we talked about this year, right? The huge trend was people complaining about hip hop and the ladies kind of dominating the hits, there just aren't as many hits. So you end up playing a lot of the music if you're playing open format or playing hip hop rooms, like you gotta play certain songs kind of every set. And that lasts for a while. Like those songs are the peak hour songs for months at a time, you know?
I can give you one. So that was like my overall, but my number one, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Nico and Sway, before it was even picked up and redone by Tiesto. Then it was redone by Tiesto and it kind of tweaked a little bit. And I love that original. I'm a huge fan of. I really got into new wave again this year. Depeche Mode and The Cure and all of everything that came with that in the 80s. And I really love that sound. And I love that they started to incorporate it into house music and I was able to play it out. So Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Nico and Sway, even pre-Tiesto version. So that's it.
We've documented my hate for new wave and 80s music pretty well on this podcast. I will say the last time I played like a funky house set, I created an 80s house inspired folder and played a bunch of those records.
No way.
Just saying.
Wow.
I'll show
Love
it to you.
Hear it.
There's not a ton of, there's like maybe 20 or 30 tracks in there. I'll send it to you, but it's sort of like a lot of tracks that I picked through sort of my like private event house music folder. Cause like some of that stuff crosses over where it's all vocals or melody they know.
Yeah.
Even like the older people that kind of translated to nightlife as well. So I'll send you that,
Please
that
do.
folder and I'll see what you think of it.
Man, this might be its own episode. We're 44 minutes in.
I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to figure this out. We're either going to put out the longest episode we've ever put out or break this into 2 episodes. We'll see.
We're going to be smart about this. Content is king, guys.
Smarter, not harder, right?
Content is king.
So I think before we finish, I think that kind of wraps our awards or favorites of the year. I just want to reflect back a little bit because you and I don't do the best job of kind of looking back and seeing how much we actually accomplished this year. So I just kind of want to I'm going to pat ourselves on the back. We never do that. You know, like I try and not do that too often, but you know, we grew Get Down over 50% this year. Not just the number of DJs who are working with us, but the number of DJ bookings and revenue that we brought into the business.
Can I dig into some numbers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gigs booked this year. You ready for this?
I don't even know this number.
2,619 DJ gigs.
It's a lot.
Think about that. It's ridiculous.
Over 200 a month.
Different DJs booked. Different DJs. 125. We worked with 125 different DJs this year, which was huge. And it shows the passion for, using up and coming talent and not always, I guess when you do over 2,500 gigs that you're going to have to reach out and use some people.
Yeah.
But I've liked the relationships that we've built over the last year and got to know a lot of new DJs and got to hear a lot of new DJs. It's been fantastic, especially with our monthly party. And
like
that.
We started a monthly Open Decks party, right? Like that's helped us feed this machine of finding more DJs and young DJs and it's just been really cool because, we do the coaching thing and the mentorship thing.
Yep.
And then we're growing as a business and those DJs end up coming in and working with us. So it's like a really cool thing we've created. It's like, it's a machine. We feed the machine and it's like not all those young DJs are going to pan out, but some of them do. And some of them become staples in our group, which is awesome.
Yeah. Big shout out to UFOso for having that idea for the B3 party.
Yeah, he really drove us that happening. So shout out to
putting up with setting up the equipment and getting the video working. There's a lot that goes into that event. It's not always easy, but got people show up for it, and it has fed the machine. And then we've worked with go back to the numbers. We've worked with 34 different venues this year. Which is a lot.
Right, and that's not even counting all the private events and corporate events that we've done too. So
no, that's just that's bars, nightclubs, lounges, strictly. So
it's a lot, man.
It's a lot of personalities to between 125 DJs and 34 different venues booked. It's a lot of different personalities.
Dealing with a lot of people out here, man.
But we we are in the people business, and that's what we do, and we enjoy doing it. So
yeah, and the core of what we do is putting the right DJ in the right venue, right? And getting feedback and then shuffling the deck, so to speak, to making sure that those venues always have DJs that make sense. If the style of music changes, sometimes the DJs have to change. And that's really the core of what we do, right?
We saw that happen this year at a couple places. And I want to be clear that we don't put the best DJ in the venue. It's the best DJ for the venue. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not that doesn't always translate. The best DJ that you have might not work in this one venue, but they work in this other venue very well. So that's what you kind of have to figure out, and ownership sometimes and management's like, I want your best DJ. It's like, well, it's like me with Downtown Social. They're like, well, why don't you come play headline Downtown Social? I'm like, it wouldn't work.
Right. It's just not your style it's not how you play. You could do that for a few hours, but like, to do that for a whole night just doesn't make sense for you really anymore.
Right. And all that energy and all that shit, like it's not me. It's just not me. You're asking me to do something that's not me. Right. So that's what we need to do. We need to figure out, what is right for that venue and does that personality and does that DJ style fit that venue?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to do. It's like a little puzzle.
How many episodes of this podcast did we put out? Do you know that?
We did 36 episodes of the podcast. I have these numbers too for you. I did a couple numbers last night while you were gone.
Let's hold off on the podcast numbers. We could just talk more generically for the pod, I'd say.
It was 36 episodes. We had a good amount of listens and downloads, I should say, and a lot of different countries, a lot of different countries. And just really interesting to get DMs from people from Africa and people from the UK, and just hear from people from all over the world that, hey, thanks for putting out this podcast. Really respect the in-depth, thought process that goes behind the industry. That's not just music and that's not just skill-based. It's more, we like to stick to more business-based and teaching-based. So
I think the final thing I'll say for Get Down is this year we've really expanded our network incredibly. I think, like you just said, the reach of the podcast is way bigger than we thought, with these random people and bigger artists sometimes hitting us up, wanting to be on the show or seeing one of their DJ friends on the show and wanting to come on the show. And it's really created a lot of great relationships. It's expanded our network. I think it's helped kind of solidify our quote unquote expertise in the industry, and talking about the business and not just talking about DJ stuff, and kind of educating people on what drives a lot of these owners and the venues and the businesses and what we need to be thinking about in that area in order to do well as DJs and as DJ businesses. So podcast has been great, man. It's a lot of work and it's something we like to do. And I'm glad this pod kind of ran a little long here because it's giving us a chance to kind of talk about some of this stuff.
I mean, this podcast is a perfect example of how we like to do this, because this was supposed to be about 20 minutes to knock it out. And here we are 51 minutes in. So we have to set up our stuff and so far, so on and so forth. But once we get going here, it's an enjoyable thing to do.
Yeah. So to just kind of wrap a bow on the Get Down overall, I just want to say, I constantly tell myself for Get Down, let's think bigger, because I don't think you and I sometimes realize how big we've been able to grow this thing, and from where it started to where it came from, to imagine that this is where we're at right now. And, we talked about our story of sitting at the pool and helping each other fill our calendars to now booking all those shows and all those DJs and having all these relationships and 140 something episodes of the pod. It's like a lot of growth in a short period of time. And that doesn't come without working really hard. And we really worked really hard. So guys listening, my two little points: think bigger. And if you bust your ass at something, you're going to see the fruits of that labor at some point. And it might not be immediate, and you need to be patient. You need to keep putting in that work, but you're going to see results if you're doing the right things and you're working hard.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to get into some Cream stuff real quick too, because I never really talk about any of this stuff either, but I kind of went from a local DJ to more of a regional DJ this year, and it's been a goal of mine for a long time. And I think before COVID, it was starting to happen, and then obviously everything shut down, and that plan kind of got put on hold for a couple years, and it's been really exciting for me and really gives me the energy to keep going. I played some of the best shows of the year of my career this year. Forward Cleveland, best show I've ever played in my entire life. It was unbelievable. Like, I had to throw that in there. We've made relationships with 4AM and Chachi, who's someone that I've always looked up to, and Rick Wonder, and like those guys we talk to on a regular basis now, and we do some work together in our businesses. And like, it's been really great to think about some of these things here at the end of the year.
I think business wise, that's, I think, my personal proudest moment of the year. I went from shutting off Chachi's music at the W Hotel many, many years ago on accident while I was plugging in my computer to I looked up to him for so long. And now we work with them regularly. So that was a highlight for the business for me, is to work more closely with 4AM, because to get on the 4AM roster was always like a dream coming up when I was younger. So yeah, that was awesome. And it was really humbling to sit down and talk to him and really create a relationship.
Yeah, man. The 4AM connection has been awesome, and will continue to be awesome. And I know we'll find more ways to work together for sure. We linked with Conflict this year. Conflict was someone who...
That was another one.
Inspired me for this podcast, because during COVID, I loved listening to his perspective, and I could tell he's just a really smart dude. Obviously, he's one of the biggest open format traveling DJs in the world, to be quite honest. Yeah. So to be able to link with him through RM randomly was really cool this year, and having some phone conversations with him has been really cool, and has brought a new perspective to, travel DJing for me and for our business for sure.
Definitely.
And then, the Cream and Friends I mentioned before, but like the number of downloads on those edit packs have been incredible. And the artists I've been able to link with through that, we hit Hype Edit #1 overall on all of them that we've put out so far, has been really cool. Put out an original track this year that's done decently well. What else for Cream? I'm trying to think.
Did a lot. You've grown a lot in the last year. It's been something that, like, we had a conversation offline yesterday, but like really hoping that forward trajectory keeps going, and you get to focus on doing that a little more here in the first 2 quarters, because as we know, the first quarter is usually slower than the other 3. So it's a really good time to buckle down. This is for anybody. It's a good time to buckle down and really focus on your personal growth and what you need to do in order to continue the positive trajectory that you might have had in the fall, because that is, that is go time for most markets. So
yeah, I think the takeaway for the Cream stuff this year has been, sometimes you have to be selfish, right? And that's not only in your business, but it's also in your personal life. And I took a bunch of time off here to spend time with my family, like talked about, and like, sometimes you have to do what's best for you, and it might hurt some people's feelings. It might sever some relationships. You might lose some gigs, but you know what? If you're goal focused and you're hyper focused on what you want to accomplish, and you work hard, you can get there. And my big focus really is going to be music. And I think that I say that every year, but I think this year it has to be. And I put some things in place to try to make that happen, where I'll be producing music as every day when I first wake up, the first thing of the day, even if it's for 30 minutes, just opening Ableton first thing and doing something in Ableton. I know that by the end of the year, I'll reach my production goals.
It is paramount to your success as an artist. And I think that goes for everybody. To wake up every day and work in Ableton for some amount of time, like you said, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour or 5 hours, if you're going to be a successful artist, if you're going to be a successful DJ that wants to become an artist, this is what you need to do. You can't revisit it every week, once a week.
No, it has to be every day.
Even twice a week.
It has to be.
Like, look at Solano. I feel like he lives on his Ableton. Like he lives and breathes it. And you can tell just by talking to him how much he
Solano
loves
is such a great example of a young DJ who said, I want to be bigger than just a DJ. I want to be a producer. I want to be an artist. I want to go travel, and I want other people to play my music. And he took a step back from Get Down and from DJing as a whole, where he's still playing some shows, but they really have to fit into the Solano artist style of show. Yeah. And he's busted his ass and put out a lot of really, 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 really good music. And if you listen to the first thing he produced in January to the last thing he produced in December, there's huge growth. Right. Huge growth. So huge shout to Solano. I tell him all the time, I believe in him and I play his music and I support his music and I know he's gonna go bigger and just keep doing what he's doing. But I think that's just a great example of maybe it's not music producing. Maybe it's creating a private event business. Maybe it's just becoming a staple local DJ. Whatever it is, things are going to come into your life that distract you and pull you away from those big goals that you want to accomplish. So it's really important to remind yourself every day, what are the big goals? What's the big thing that I want to accomplish? And what can I do today to accomplish that big goal? What's going to help me get there? And if you have that mind state, I know you're going to accomplish the things that you want. And it's going to suck. You're going to have to say no to some things. You might lose money in the long run because that's always the battle, right? Do I do this for money or do I not? That's always the battle. It's been a huge battle for me, Do I take a step back from this job so I can focus on DJ Cream? Do I take a step back from this responsibility to focus on Cream? Do we hire someone for Get Down to take some responsibility off my plate so I can focus on my big goals? And I've been distracted in some of those things. I'm not complaining about it because we've created an incredible business. But for me this year, it's how can I pull things away to focus on personal Cream, personal goals that I want to accomplish this year, but still be able to maintain the other things that we're doing.
Yeah. Listen, I hope that we do narrow all that stuff down for you, and because I do want to see artist Cream do his thing and take the next step and continue to do what you did last year. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, like another step in that direction, and it's kind of part of the plan. It's part of the 3-year plan of less gigs, better gigs, higher paying gigs, higher profile gigs.
Yeah,
that's what excites me in the DJ world right now, for sure.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Anything you want to say or put a bow on the podcast? A little year-end reflection or anything?
I just want to thank everybody that has supported the podcast over the year. Just real simple. Guys, if you listen and you're not subscribed, please do that. It helps us a ton. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube yet, please go over there and subscribe and like a couple videos over there. Maybe leave a couple of comments. If you get anything out of this podcast, it would be the one way you can repay us. Because obviously, like Cream said in our it's going to be our last episode, is that we don't get paid to do this, but there are ways that it is beneficial for us, and we love to do it, and we hope that you guys like to listen, and if you do, please, like I said, like and subscribe. That'd be great.
For sure. One other thing, selfishly, I'm going to promote.
Go ahead.
My Cream Mix Spotify playlist just hit 10K this month. So thank you guys for supporting the Cream Mix Spotify playlist. It's been interesting to see the labels and various people that have been hitting me up to try to get on that playlist now. So if you don't follow the Cream Mix Spotify playlist, go check me out on there. All my socials, SoundCloud, Instagram, TikTok, everything is at DJ Cream NYC. Get Down is at Get Down DJ Group. And this podcast is the Get Down Pod, I believe.
Just the Get Down.
Oh, man, this is
just
funny.
The Get Down.
No, I think it's the Get Down Pod. Let me double check.
Wow.
The Get Down Podcast. Oh, man, we're shot.
Shot. Got a lot of different things going on.
All right, guys.
Personal
I think we
podcast.
can wrap there on us just being super shot. And
yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate you guys for everything. And go after it this year. Go accomplish that big goal this year. And that's how I'll leave you guys. So thanks for listening. Talk to you guys soon.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Get Down podcast. If you enjoy our show and find the topics entertaining or helpful in any way, we would greatly appreciate if you could subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you listen to it. We want to help more DJs, and subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show is the best way for us to do that. We appreciate all the love so far. Thanks for listening, guys.